Hi everybody. Boy, is it ever rainy and wet out there today. Not a great day to be outside, but a good day for the rain to help our plants to grow. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to show you the progress of our plants that we planted last week. And it has been exactly 7 days since I've put our seeds into the soil, and I'm really excited to show you their progress and how much they have grown in only 7 days. So I'm going to start with showing you our radish plant. And here is our radish plant after only 7 days. So take a look inside the soil. And do you remember what it's called when the stems start to poke through the soil? It's called a shoot. And I counted 8 shoots, which are little stems, that are now poking through the soil, and they've already started to develop the leaves. Now, as this plant grows, the leaves are also going to get bigger and the stems are going to get taller. Now, the radish, as we know, the part that we eat in the radish grows under the soil, and it's almost like the shape of a little ball. It's red on the outside and white on the inside. And radishes need a lot of room to grow. So as these stems start to grow a little bit thicker, I will probably have to take some of them out just to allow some of the plants to have space to grow, because I don't think there would be enough room in this cup to grow 10 radishes. So we'll thin it out in a few weeks once we start getting more stems in there, and we'll keep a close eye on it. So I will show you in 7 more days how much it has grown. But the neat thing that I also wanted to show you is we talked about this when I planted these into the clear cups. And I said the reason I plant them in clear cups is because we can see the roots growing through the soil. Can you see the tiny little roots? They're digging all the way down the bottom of the cup to grab the water and the nutrients in the soil to send it up to the rest of the plant. Now, radishes have very thin roots. They're kind of small and they branch out in all different directions. I referred to roots kind of like hands. So they're grabbing and they're reaching for all of those important things in the soil that they need to help survive. Okay, the next one that I want to show you is our pea plant. Take a look at our pea plant. Now I've got one little shoot poking up through our soil, and it's a really thick stem. Peas have a thick stem, and they have a leaf that's already growing at the very end of it. And the reasons that peas have a thick stem is because the part that we eat does not grow under the soil. It grows on top of the stem. So it needs to have a thick stem to hold up those pea seeds that we eat, because they will develop inside of a pod. So we'll keep a close eye on this pea plant because it's going to grow really tall. And pea stems often grow so tall that they need to almost grab onto things. They get little vines. And so I will probably end up putting a stick in here just so that it has something to hold on to make sure that its stem is nice and strong so that it can grow as tall and as healthy as possible. Now, these roots, they're a little bit harder to see in this cup. I don't see very many against the edges, but I do see a big one actually at the bottom. If you can see kind of that white line right there, that's one of the roots at the very bottom of the cup. So we'll keep an eye on that pea plant and we'll see what it looks like in another week. Okay, the next one I have is lettuce. Now, when we grow lettuce, the part of the plant that we eat with lettuce is we eat the leaves. So we will, once this plant gets big enough, the leaves might grow to be about this tall, and you can cut off the leaves, wash them up, and eat them as a salad. Right now, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 little lettuce leaves growing. So it still needs a few more weeks. They have really thin stems because lettuce leaves aren't very heavy, and the roots are also quite small. Let's see if I can find some roots. I can see a few little roots at the bottom. Now, the leaves are the most important part of the lettuce because that's what they eat. So that's the part that's going to get the biggest, is the leaves on the lettuce. Okay, the next one's a little bit trickier to see. This is our grass plant. Now, if you go outside, you see grass all over the place. You've probably got it all over your yard. And grass takes a little bit longer to grow. you can see I've got a couple, it's just kind of hard to see, but I've got a couple little blades here. I've got another blade of grass here, but in about 10 more days, we will have more because grass seeds were really small and I just sprinkled them all over the top of the soil and then I buried them and watered it. So we'll keep a good eye on our grass plants. The roots are also really thin. So they're hard to see. They're almost like little hairs. They're really tiny, but I can see some of them all over throughout the soil. So we'll keep an eye on this and we will see what happens to our grass plant in a week. Okay, this one I want to show you. I'm excited to show you. This is our bean plant. Now take a look at how tall this bean plant has already gotten. It's kind of amazing because last night when I went to bed, it was only as tall as the rim of the cup. And just overnight, it has grown about 2 more inches. So it grows very, very fast. Bean plants have a really thick stem because the part of the bean that we eat, they carry those seeds at the top, right? So the stem needs to be thick to hold up those beans. And the roots are also really thick. You can really see the roots at the bottom of this bean plant cup. It needs to be a sturdy plant. Now at the very top, this is the seed coat. You can see it's brown and it's starting to peel off. And that's what our bean seed looked like when we first planted it. It was brown and it was really hard. And we talked about how a seed coat is kind of like a winter coat for us. We wear it in the winter to protect us from the cold. Well, that's what a seed coat does. Most seeds have a coat that goes over the outside of the seed and it protects it. And after time, once it's planted and it has water and sunlight and nutrients and space, then that seed coat breaks apart and the inside of the seed comes out, the embryo. Okay, so you can see that the seed coat is going to fall off probably any day. Now, just like our pea plant, I might actually put in a stick for this plant because it's going to grow really tall and it might need something to kind of wind around or to hold on to so its stem doesn't break. Inside, you can see another tiny shoot poking through the soil. So I will also have another bean plant coming up over the next couple of days. So I'm excited to see how tall this one gets. Now, some of you made the little greenhouse that I showed you last week. And I am really excited about this because like I told you, every year that I've made this greenhouse, my results have been different. Some years I get bean plants that grow all over the bag. And then other years I have had bean seeds that have been dormant. That means they just have not sprouted at all. So I'm excited because after only 7 days, take a look at this seed right here. It's got a giant root already at the bottom and it's got a big stem and you can see the seed coat is ready to fall off. So it's going to keep growing. And the same with this one. This one's a little bit further behind, but I already see the stem and the roots starting to grow. So I'm really excited to see how big these get. And you have to keep an eye on it. If the cotton balls get a bit dry, you can just add some more water. You can see mine have turned a little bit brown, and that's just because they've been sitting in the window in the sunlight. You'll see my greenhouse looks a little bit faded too because I've put it in a window in my house that gets lots of sunlight. So I've just kind of been checking it every day. I haven't needed to wet the cotton balls yet. I still see there's some moisture in there, but I will just keep an eye on it. So I hope that you were able to make one of these and we would love to see your results too, to see if your seeds have started to sprout. So I'm going to be taping this back up in our window and then I'll show you it again in a week. We'll see how much it's changed. Okay, so that's it for our plants today. So I really hope that you have had an opportunity to plant some seeds. It doesn't have to be the same seeds that I've planted. Maybe you've planted yours outside in a garden or in a flower pot, or maybe you've made a little greenhouse, but we would love to see pictures of your seeds and your plants that you have planted. And I thought that this story would be a fun one to read today because it's by an amazing author called Eric Carle, and it's all about how seeds are dispersed, how seeds move, and how seeds grow. Now, if you were in kindergarten at Dr. Proby, you might have read this story with Mrs. Moline and Mrs. Fuji last year. But because I remember seeing your artwork all over the gym, and it was beautiful artwork. But I thought, well, that's okay. We can read this story again. So if you've heard this story, that's all right. I hope you can just sit back and enjoy it again. Okay, The Tiny Seed by Eric Carle. Thank you to Scholastic for allowing us to read this story together. Okay, here we go. It is autumn. A strong wind is blowing. It blows flower seeds high in the air and carries them far across the land. One of the seeds is tiny, smaller than any of the others. Will it be able to keep up with the others? And where are they going? Can you see the tiny seed right here? That kind of looks like a Lethbridge day. Look at the wind blowing and all of those seeds flying through the air. One of the seeds flies higher than the others. Up, up it goes. It flies too high and the sun's hot rays burn it up. But the tiny seed sails on with the others. Do you see the sun's too hot for that seed? It burnt it up, and there's our tiny seed still back here behind all the other seeds. Another seed lands on a tall and icy mountain. The ice never melts and the seed cannot grow. The rest of the seeds fly on, but the tiny seed does not go as fast as the others. Here's our tiny seed right here. And we know that not all seeds grow where they land because sometimes they don't have the right conditions. If it's too hot or too cold or not enough sunlight, then they won't grow. They'll just stay dormant, which means they'll just stay as seeds. Now they fly over the ocean. One seed falls into the water and drowns. The others sail on with the wind, but the tiny seed does not go as high as the others. And there's the tiny seed here, and you can see here's one that just landed in the ocean, and it had too much water, so it wasn't able to grow. One seed drifts down onto the desert. It is hot and dry, and the seed cannot grow. Now the tiny seed is flying very low, but the wind pushes it on with the others. Oh, there's our tiny seed right there. And you will see that some plants actually can grow in the desert, like cactuses, because cactuses have a really thick stem and they can store water in their stem for a really long time, so they don't need to have rain or be watered. Finally, the wind stops and the seeds fall gently down on the ground. The bird comes up and eats one seed. The tiny seed is not eaten. It is so small that the bird does not even see it. Where is our tiny seed? Oh, there it is. It's hard to see. So sometimes animals even eat our seeds, don't they? Now it is winter. After their long trip, the seeds settle down. They look just as if they are going to sleep in the earth. Snow falls and covers them like a soft white blanket. A hungry mouse that also lives in the ground eats a seed for his lunch. But the tiny seed lies very still, and the mouse does not even see it. There it is. Now it is spring. After a few months, the snow has melted. It is really spring. Birds fly by. The sun shines. Rain falls. The seeds grow so round and full that they start to burst open a little. Now they're not seeds anymore. They are plants. First, they send roots down into the earth. Then their little stems and leaves begin to grow up towards the sun and the air. There's another plant that grows much faster than the new little plants. It is a big, fat weed, and it takes all the sunlight and the rain away from one of the small new plants, and that little plant dies. The tiny seed hasn't begun to grow yet. It'll be too late. Hurry! But finally, it starts to grow into a plant. And there he is right there. The warm weather also brings the children out to play. They too have been waiting for the sun in springtime. One child doesn't see the plants and he runs along and, uh-oh, he breaks one. Now it cannot grow anymore. So we have to be careful where we're walking. Look at that big foot. He's breaking the plant. But the tiny plant that grew from the tiny seed is growing fast. But his neighbors grow even faster. Before the tiny plant has 3 leaves, the other plant has 7. And look, a bud, and now even a flower. But what is happening? First, there are footsteps. The shadow looms over them, and then a hand reaches down and breaks off the flower. Somebody's picking that plant, picking that flower. A boy has picked the flower to give to a friend. It's a nice thing to do. And now it's summer. Now the tiny plant from the tiny seed is all alone. It grows on and on. It doesn't stop. The sun shines on and the rain waters it. It has many seeds. It grows taller and taller. It is taller than the people. It is taller than the trees. It is taller than the houses. And now a flower grows on it. People come from far and near to look at this flower. It is the tallest flower they have ever seen. It is a giant flower. All summer long, the birds and bees and butterflies come visiting. They've never seen such a big and beautiful flower. Look at that giant flower. And now it is autumn again. The days grow shorter, the nights grow cooler, and the wind carries yellow and red leaves past the flower. Some petals drop from the giant flower, and they sail along with the bright leaves over the land and down to the ground. And we know that flowers often carry seeds inside. So what do you think is going to happen? The wind blows harder. The flower has lost almost all of its petals. It sways and bends away from the wind, but the wind grows stronger and shakes the flower. Once more, the wind shakes the flower, and this time the flower's seed pod opens. Out come many tiny seeds that quickly sail far away in the wind. There go all the seeds. And that is the end of the story. And then the story starts all over. So the seeds fly on. Some of the seeds will grow to be a plant. Other seeds won't grow at all. And it all depends on the conditions that they have. So remember, they need to have sunlight. They need to have soil that has nutrients. They need to have water. And they need to have space to grow. So thank you for joining me today, and don't forget to send us some of the pictures of your plants that you have planted in your yard or in your flower pots. We'd love to see them. Now I will check back in about a week and show you another update on our plants. Have a great day.